According to Souka, Carrera had snapped when she was there. Apparently, there had been an outrageously huge incident where the staff members rushed to stop them, trying to fire off nuclear magic inside the building. Rimura was also upset about this, well, not exactly upset, as he said something like, yeah, I get how you feel. And ended up defending Carrera, which made things quite complicated. As a result, an extermination team consisting of individuals resistant to insects was organized, and it was decided that Carrera would not even be allowed to lay eyes on them. By the way, Ultima-sen said that spiders and stuff are cute without a care in the world. She doesn't care if she's a cockroach or a caterpillar. With that, Souka added some information that didn't matter. Moss couldn't help but react when he heard this. Hey, isn't now not the time to be talking about such trivial things? Carrera-sama isn't just directing their killing intent towards cockroach, but towards everyone, right? Not touching Ultima is Moss's way of foreseeing danger. Even if spiders are fine, cockroaches might be a problem. For the moths, there are things that even the primordial who are like gods to them, are not good at handling. They believe it's better not to know about such things. However, that was too hasty. Moss-kun, don't strangers tell you that you can't read the mood? Yeah, that was dangerous. You think Carrera was a dangerous girl who picked a fight with no one in particular, so there's a way to put it. No, that's not it. Actually, you're right, but what I'm trying to say is that dragonite over there's. It's Souka. Souka-san over there was talking about something very important. Moss-kun, you have to understand that. Moss was surprised in many ways. There were so many things to say that he didn't know where to start pointing them out. First, Rain. Moss wanted to ask in a loud voice, why are you giving yourself over to me? Next, Souka. How can you interrupt Rain? What's more, introducing herself calmly was insane. It was an unbelievable outrage from Moss's point of view, but he was surprised to see Rain accept this so calmly. He feel like he's wondering what's going on. Even Misery, who he believed to have the most common sense, had Rain's shoulder. Then again, the argument was completely different, and her point was sound. Certainly, if Carrera had asked, it seemed that Moss's fate would have been sealed. Moss couldn't help but get carried away and ended up blurting out unnecessary things, to the point where he even had to reflect on his actions. That said, he had to say exactly what he needed to say, Moss thought as he cautiously retorted. Listen, Rain-sama. I don't need a kun, so I was wondering if you could call me by my first name. Moss pointed out from the most important part. Why would the Blue Monarch show friendly attitudes toward the White Queen's adjutant? If they were hostile, it would be fine to agitate each other, but Moss couldn't help but feel apologetic, saying, we're not that close, are we? Paying no heed to Moss, Rain chuckled. What are you saying? You have the potential to defeat me, don't you, Moss-kun? In that case, I think it's only natural that I show respect. What a shady statement. The fact that Misery was sighing heavily was proof of that. Rain, stop teasing Moss. More importantly, isn't Souka's story more important? That's true. Moss seems serious, but he reacts funny, so I couldn't help myself. I agree with that, though. That's right. I thought it would be harder to get close to you, so I was a little surprised. Moss was left behind by the girls' conversation. He was in a state of mind where he didn't care anymore. So, my story is important. Which point is it? And now that Souka's broached the subject, it looks like she's finally getting to the point. Misery answered. You're investigating what Carrera and Ultima are weak against, aren't you? Perhaps you even have information on Testarossa. As Souka pondered how to dodge the question, even Rain launched a follow-up attack. I'm curious about that, too. Incidentally, I also hate G-forces. They don't appear in the frozen soil, so I'm grateful to Valentine for that. Well, they do appear in Inglacia. Even though Ivy has been thorough in exterminating them, they always seem to come back from somewhere. Maybe they are more immortal than undead. Misery continues to stay on that topic, not letting it go. Moss could no longer do anything but listen in as if he'd given up on everything and said, this isn't the time to be talking about that so casually. This is top secret, so go ahead and say it. There's no choice but to talk here. Probably not, Moss thought. Even if he had been in Souka's shoes, he would have been forced to prattle on. Then again, if it really was top secret, she wouldn't have said anything suggestive. Souka was also a professional secret agent, so she should have understood that. In other words, she thought it was good information to tell. Under Sae-sama's instructions, we are always investigating the weaknesses of the executives. From Benimaru-sama's dislike of carrots when it comes to food preferences, to Diablo-sama's discomfort with Testarossa and interpersonal relationships, it covers a wide range. Although it's really trivial information, we think it might come in handy as a card to play if any trouble arises. And in Testarossa's case, I didn't see any openings. I was in trouble, Souka said. Just as Moss had thought, he hadn't told her anything important. It was only natural for her to think he had done that much. However, Rain was the one who couldn't accept this. Okay then, let's have Moss throw the G-forces at us. And then, they make an outrageous suggestion like that. As soon as he heard this, Moss jumped, shouting stop. He was too shocked to continue, but on the inside, he was on the verge of screaming, a child's prank. It wasn't a joke. If he did something like that, he'd definitely get on Testarossa's bad side. It doesn't matter if you're bad with bugs or not. Those malicious actions alone would be enough to warrant the death penalty. Well, what a terrifying thing to say. Give me a break, Rain-sama. Moss looked at Rain, twitching in fear. Then she declared. I'll never do it, okay? Moss refuses with a straight face. What? Too bad. It can't be helped. Moss lacks the courage. Moss lamented that primordials were all people like this, but he understood that saying it out loud would turn them into bush snakes. However, it's a real shame. I might have been able to exploit Testarossa's sense weakness. At least, that's what Souka said. He thought, this girl is seriously too scary. The fact that she could swallow those words without charging in was probably the result of Moss's endurance. By the way, this conversation was clear to Testarossa as well. Later, Testarossa mentioned that she was quite irritated when, in the midst of trying to fight seriously, someone brought up a trivial topic. At that time, I thought about pretending to make a mistake and turning everyone into dust with nihilistic world. But I stopped myself because I didn't want to show any weakness in front of Twilight. You were lucky. Moss and the others trembled from the bottom of their hearts when they heard that, but that was a different story. Rain was enjoying teasing Moss, but at the same time, she never took her eyes off Twilight, who was facing off against Testarossa. Performing parallel thinking effortlessly was a trivial feat for someone of her primordial caliber. Rain pondered the historical troublemakers. At the pinnacle of them all stood Diablo and Twilight. Until Remure appeared, these two had been the unrivaled, immovable nuisances. There was room for debate as to which of them was superior, but while Diablo was the favorable problem child, the fact that the disgusting problem child was Twilight was an unshakable fact in Rain's heart. It's the difference between a lovable idiot and an abominable one. Diablo was a self-respecting, self-deprecating nuisance who operated on his own theories. He maintained his own beliefs, but he didn't force others to do the same. Even Rain acknowledged that he had a surprisingly sensible side to him. In contrast, Twilight doesn't care about others' convenience at all. He operates based on his own theories and personal rules. While he shares the trait of being a troublemaker with Diablo, the fact that he imposes his ways on others is why people can't bring themselves to like him. Even Rain had a self-centered side to her. She would never admit it, but she was the type to think things through in a way that was convenient for her at a dangerous level. Because Rain was like that, it was only natural that she'd be incompatible with Diablo and Twilight. She'll keep her distance from the person she hates. As long as she's thorough, she can avoid conflict. And yet, the problem is that there's someone who's trying to push their own justice onto her. Twilight was the representative of them all. He had spread all kinds of trouble throughout the world. He had caused so many problems in so many places that even if he tried to close his eyes, he couldn't ignore them. The countless evil experiments, including the life-threatening disaster, the necromancy, the two moons, the erosion forest, the sea of fresh blood, and so on, have brought about countless calamities. In the current human nations, there are no official records of him, but according to the unofficial recognition by the demon lords, he is considered a dangerous individual on par with an honorary catastrophe-level threat, if not a full-fledged disaster-class entity. So much so that even Rain couldn't remember how many times she'd been sent to clean up the mess. No. Rain is the type who never forgets grudges, so she keeps incredibly detailed notes. That's precisely why she raised a toast when Twilight was destroyed by Luminous, and why she holds feelings of gratitude and respect toward Luminous. With Twilight revived like that, she couldn't help but stare. Good grief, that guy is even more troublesome than Guy. But if it's that terrifying Testarossa, maybe she can handle Twilight, no matter what, or can't she? It was difficult for Rain to judge. Testarossa is fundamentally good at defense, so she shouldn't lose. However, as for the offensive aspect, she was worried that she wouldn't be able to attack Twilight, who had repeated countless experiments, and seemed to have approached immortality in the truest sense of the word. What's more, Twilight was creepier now than before, and she couldn't see the depths of his power. Rain had secretly broken out in a cold sweat, sensing that he wouldn't be able to win first. Thanks to Remure-sama, I was able to evolve, but even so, it's impossible for me. At best, I can buy some time or delay things, maybe. If I really pushed myself, I might manage something. But still, the thought of groveling to that bastard is absolutely out of the question. I wouldn't even want to pretend to do it. How would she fight? While acting, she distracts Twilight and buys time. Rain concludes that this is the only way. At the same time, she gives up before even trying, thinking, I absolutely don't want to do this, so it's impossible. But, if it was Testarossa, things would be different. It was because even compared to when Rain had fought, she had become something else entirely. Moreover, Testarossa is cunning and the most calculating among the primordials. It's unthinkable for her to stand before an enemy without any chance of victory, so it's okay to have some expectations. I'm sure Testarossa knows her own weaknesses. I heard she fought well against Velgrin Sama, so if I cheer her on with all my might, she should be able to do something about it. Rain's support was of little to no value to Testarossa. However, since Rain had an extremely high opinion of herself, she had convinced herself that Testarossa would surely be pleased with it. And with that, she got ready to watch the battle unfold with great interest.